Good evening, everybody. Having recently done a video with the likes of Andrew and Linda, where we talked about the nonsense that guilt has come up with, you get some comments that are, for want of a better word, they're real gems. Just before Christmas, as you know, I did a short video. It was entitled Christmas Message to Supporters of Truth for Teresa, Stephen and Brendan. And I always put, talking about truth and justice, I always put Teresa first, then Steve, and then Brendan. And I can only say to this person, Tess Sanders, that commented, I'm pretty sure that you're an embarrassment to yourself, but you're also an embarrassment to your own guilty community. And certainly completely way off mark and deluded. Anyway, let's have a look at your comment. The grammar is particularly poor, so I will have to try and make sense of what you've said as best as I can, but it's not always very easy. You put, as I say, in a comment to the video, the Christmas message, it's incredible that I'm the only one that stopped by that actually would like to see Teresa Halbach get the justice she deserved. What was the title of my video? What has the title of my videos often been? Whenever I've talked about truth and justice, I talk about for Teresa, Steve and Brendan. Instead, patting the murderers on the back with a way to go, and that's how it's done, Steve. that's taken straight from Brendan's so-called confession. So I'll be the one person that says they're as guilty as the jury agreed. Well, no, you're completely wrong there. The jury, we know, traded votes. They could not agree on Steve being guilty. And why would they? But there was huge fear amongst some of the jurors that if they voted against and it was a mistrial, they could have a head count, and they would have to then say who it was that voted in favour of Steve. And that was a big issue. What they did, a complete fudge whereby they traded votes. This is the reason why Stephen Avery was not found guilty of mutilating a corpse. The idea being that at the appeals stage, this would be looked at by the appeals judges and be cause for a retrial. Do get your facts right, please. So all of you that think Steve and Brendan, I presume you meant, are innocent, should take your family member into their homes for a visit and find your family member's bones in their backyard afterwards. Tess, I enjoyed myself immensely in my visit to the Avery salvage yard when I went to the rally. I went there twice. They are wonderful people. We met them on just about every day every day that we were there, we met them. Wonderful people. Came down to the rally. You really should think about what you're saying. In fact, you should go to the Avery salvage yard yourself and meet the people there. And then you would realise. Take your family member into their homes for a visit and find your family member's bones in their backyard afterwards. You must realise by now the situation with regards to the cremains. That Teresa Halbach was not burnt in a bonfire behind Stephen Avery's garage. The evidence is just so conclusive. It's impossible to burn a body to the extent whereby those bones were found. They were cremated. We hear that that's possible in a burn barrel. Why have we got all these bones up to 2 miles away being found? Why are there no photographs of the cremains in the burn pit? just remember that they're not guilty at all. Well, yeah, they are not guilty at all. Shake their hand and say, no problem, you're innocent. We don't mind that you shot. No, Stephen Avery, Brendan Dassey had nothing to do with shooting Teresa Holbach or any of the attack on her. Somebody else was. Certainly wasn't Stephen Brendan. And of course, somewhere else where I've been to visit in regards to this case, Sydney and Melbourne, at the invitation of the Aussie supporter Mark Hodinett, who has had multiple trips to visit Steve in prison. He knows exactly what Steve is like. Very harmless, very friendly, a simple fella who just wants to get out and look after his mum and dad. Just remember, that's what you're all saying to Teresa Holbach's family. As far as Teresa Holbach's family is concerned, the one thing I would say is that we need to ask Mike Holbach what the hell he was talking about when he referred to a grieving process whilst Teresa was only a missing person, and that grieving process might take days. A couple of things wrong with that. Several things wrong with that. First of all, the idea that he knows that she's dead when she's still only a missing person. I would ask you, what sort of family member accepts that somebody is dead? They hold on to the idea that that person is still alive. He really did slip up then. But the idea that this grieving process could last days, as I say, the investigative journalists should immediately have jumped on that. Had that been Stephen Avery or any of the Avery family that had used those words, you can rest assured that the reporters would have jumped on them. They would have alerted the detectives, say, you need to watch this. As I've explained many a time, in the Soham murders case, we had exactly that scenario. Maxine Carr gave an interview to Sky News. They immediately alerted the police to the fact that she's just referred to the girls in the past tense. It's a huge, huge red flag. As I say, secondly, the fact that family members would immediately, would not accept that somebody is dead. They would hold on to this idea that somebody is still alive. They would reject any suggestion that they have met their demise. But as I say, the fact that the grieving process could last days, I have no explanation for that whatsoever, other than he knew that something didn't happen to her. But that's very speculative. Anyway, moving on. Remember her. Yes, as I said, what is the title of the video? And remember, the video I've just done, it's the state of Wisconsin that has insulted the memory of Teresa Holbach. You know, I can't say it more often than I am already. We want truth and justice for Teresa Holbach, and that will lead to truth and justice for Steve and Brendan. No, you just want to be part of this weird group. Weird group. We are a incredibly diverse, a true cross-section of society. Political opinions, ages. We come from all different backgrounds, which if you look carefully at, you don't even need to look carefully. If you just simply look at all the stuff that's out there, that myself, Eric Cozy, and other YouTubers have done, that the people in the Facebook groups have done, that the Redditors, the people that go on Twitter, the people like the 80 More Things with their blogs or podcasts. There's a whole community, yes, is a very good word to describe the truthers. We are a community, a very good community. we are part of this weird group that wants murderers out on the street. No, that is definitely not what we want. In fact, this is one of the biggest insults to Teresa's memory, that her murderer is still free and out on the streets. Why? Because you watched a TV show, didn't read the transcripts, didn't read the police reports, didn't read why the jury came to their conclusion, because you watched a biased, one-sided TV show. I cannot agree with any of what you've just said. That is absolute nonsense. In fact, my reply to you was, Tess, congratulations, Tess. Your contribution is without doubt one of the best pieces of drivel I have ever had the misfortune to read. I need not reply to the rest of your nonsense by simply observing that even in your opening, you have completely ignored the title of this video. But Tess thought she would come back for more. She wrote, "Just prove my point with your comment. I read it, then listened to your praise, the murderers." As I say, the grammar is appalling. It tends to suggest a very low educated mind. Wishing them the best, not the victim's family. You're actually wishing for the best for the killers. Wonder if you have any human feelings, or just after that almighty dollar from your videos. Sad. Well, okay. So now that the channel is monetized, you know, I make a huge amount of money, you know. I mean, I think I'm probably, because of the fact that YouTube can put adverts on the videos, I think the last time I checked, I was up to about 10 cents. Okay. As I say, you're really just a complete embarrassment to yourself and to some of your fellow guilters by your comments. You are obviously simply repeating the robotic rhetoric that a lot of people on the guilter community have used. You know, you accuse us of, and people within the community have only ever watched a biased TV program. First of all, I would completely dispute the fact that it was biased. Everybody on the other side of the fence were invited to contribute. The filmmakers made special effort where the likes of Ken Kratz did not wish to participate. They made a special effort at getting hold of footage of them offering their opinions. You don't know nothing about me, but I actually spent many hours in telephone conversations with the sheriff of Manitowoc before he retired, Robert Herman. So I wonder, how did your conversations with Robert Herman go in trying to ascertain what was going on in Manitowoc? As I say, I've been to Edinburgh to see presentations by both Dean and Jerry and Stephen and Laura. I've been to Amsterdam to see Jerry Buting and the excellent David Rudolph. I've been to Sydney and Melbourne to see Stephen Drizzen, Laura Nyrider, David Rudolph at both those venues. We've made a point of finding out as much as we possibly can about this appalling miscarriage of justice. Justice not just for Stephen Brendan, but in particular for Teresa. Like I said, as soon as we find out what actually happened, when we find the truth for Teresa, that will lead us to truth and justice for all three of the victims so far. I say I've also been to the supporter rally in Manitowoc, where all the supporters get together and we discuss in depth the details of everything that's going on in this case. Personally, I've done now I've watched hundreds of hours of videos and documentaries and read thousands of pages of documents generated by this case. And obviously, of course, I've done very many live videos. I've done videos about the case. I've done videos about the decisions. I've done videos just about everything you can think of to do with the case, including a series of 9 videos looking at the appalling career of your leader, Kenneth Rapist Kratz. Why would you want to align behind somebody as twisted, as warped and disgraced as Kenneth Kratz? It just beggars belief. I invite you, Tess, to really look at what you've just written and think about it. Think about it sensibly. You know, maybe I'm being a bit unfair on one or two of you guilters, because, as I say, your comments are very poor when it comes often to spelling and grammar. But maybe, you know, that's not the point. It's the message that you're trying to get across. But your message is fundamentally flawed. At the moment, you are an embarrassment, not just to yourself, but to all the fellow guilters that occasionally have something worthwhile to offer. Not very often, and they've all but disappeared now. I'm going back 3.5 years ago. But as soon as we discovered wood embedded in that bullet, we knew that the Manitrock Sheriff's Department and DA's office there in Manitrock, their little house of cards is coming down very rapidly. So unfortunately that we have had a judge thus far who seems to think that she is the Manitrock District Attorney. She's acted as if she's the Manitrock District Attorney. Things will start to change very rapidly. You know, please, if you're going to make comments, do yourself a favour and do a little bit of research into your chosen subject. It makes a huge difference. Anyway, that's all I've got to say on that. I'm going to quickly carry on with the next article from the Steve Drizzen and Richard Leo article. And later on this evening for me, I shall hopefully be joining Eric Jose and Travis for a live chat. Catch you again soon. Bye for now.